The man lay half buried in dust at the edge of the broken road, his hat tipped over his eyes, his boots worn down to the leather like he had walked 1,000 miles just to collapse there and disappear. Cars passed him without slowing. Wind pushed tumbleweeds against his still body as if even the desert wanted to claim him. Everyone else saw a drifter who had finally lost his fight. She saw a human being who looked like he had already been forgotten by the world. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when one heart chooses not to turn away, please like this video, comment, share it, and subscribe to this channel right now. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Clara had never planned to stop that day. She was late for her second job, her hands still smelling of soap and old dishes from the diner where she worked since sunrise, and her small sedan was coughing like it might not make another mile. But something about the stillness of that man pulled at her in a way she couldn't explain. Maybe it was the loneliness that seemed to wrap around him like a shadow, or maybe it was simply the way his chest barely rose with each breath. Clara pulled over, got out, and walked toward him with cautious steps, already preparing herself for the worst. When she knelt beside him, she realized he wasn't dead, just exhausted beyond what words could describe. His face was lined with years of sun and sorrow, but there was a strange dignity even in his collapse, as if this man had once carried something heavy and noble and had finally been crushed by it. She gave him water, fanned his face, and waited until his eyes fluttered open. They were a deep, weathered blue, eyes that looked like they had seen too much of the world and too little of its kindness. Clara brought him to her small home on the outskirts of town, a place barely bigger than a storage shed but filled with warmth she had built with her own hands. She had lost her parents young, raised her younger brother until he left for the city, and spent her life giving more than she ever received. Taking in a stranger felt like the most natural thing in the world to her. She cleaned his wounds, gave him food, and let him sleep on her old couch, never once asking who he was or where he came from. Days passed, and the cowboy, as she quietly called him, slowly came back to life. He fixed her broken fence without being asked, repaired the leaky sink, and even got her old car running better than it had in years. He didn't talk much about himself, only saying he had been traveling for a long time and had nowhere to go. Clara didn't press him. Sometimes people needed space more than questions. What she didn't know was that the man she had rescued owned half the land that stretched beyond the hills. He was the last heir of a massive ranching empire, a name that once meant power, wealth, and respect across the state. Years earlier, betrayal had shattered his world. His family had turned on each other over money, and the woman he loved had walked away when things became ugly. He had left everything behind, choosing dust and solitude over a fortune that had only brought him pain. In Clara's quiet home, he found something he had forgotten existed. Peace. No one asked him for anything. No one wanted his money or his name. Clara just wanted him to be okay. That simple kindness began to heal wounds he had buried under years of bitterness. Clara, meanwhile, was fighting her own battles. The diner barely paid enough to cover rent and groceries. Her brother had stopped calling. The town treated her like she was invisible, another tired woman scraping by. But with the cowboy there, even the smallest moments felt lighter. The way he smiled when she brought him coffee, the way he listened when she talked about her dreams of opening a little bakery someday, made her feel seen in a way she never had before. As weeks turned into months, their lives slowly intertwined. They worked together in quiet harmony, planting a small garden, fixing up the house, sharing meals in comfortable silence. Clara never imagined that this drifter, this man with dusty boots and tired eyes, could become the center of her world. She didn't know that he was watching her with a heart that had not dared to feel in years, slowly falling in love with her gentle strength. The truth began to creep in one afternoon when a black luxury car rolled into town, completely out of place among the rusty trucks and faded storefronts. Men in suits stepped out, asking for a man who matched the cowboy's description. Clara felt a cold knot form in her stomach as she realized the stranger she had taken in was not who she thought he was. When she confronted him, his silence said more than any words could. He didn't deny it, he just looked at her with eyes full of regret and fear, as if he was waiting for her to turn away like everyone else had. Clara felt betrayed, not because he was rich, but because he had hidden something so big from her. She wondered if every moment they shared had been a lie. But as she looked at the man in front of her, the one who had worked beside her in the dirt, who had fixed her broken life one small thing at a time, she realized that wealth didn't erase kindness. Pain didn't disappear because of power. And loneliness didn't care how much land you owned. The cowboy told her everything then, about the family that had torn itself apart, about the love he had lost, about how he had run because it hurt too much to stay. He admitted that he had never intended to fall in love again, especially not with someone like Clara, who had nothing but a huge heart and a fragile dream. Clara had a choice. She could walk away, tell him to go back to his world of money and lawyers and cold halls. Or she could believe in the man she had come to know, not the fortune he carried like a curse. She chose him. But the world didn't make it easy. The people who wanted his land, his power, his signature, came with threats and lies. Clara was suddenly pulled into a storm she had never imagined. There were rumors, pressure, and moments when fear crept into her small home. She wondered if loving him would cost her everything. Through it all, the cowboy stayed. For the first time in years, he refused to run. He stood beside Clara, protecting her, not with money or influence, but with loyalty and honesty. He realized that this simple woman had given him something all his wealth never could. A reason to stay. A reason to hope. Slowly, the truth of his identity became less important than the truth of his heart. The town saw him not as a billionaire rancher, but as the man who helped neighbors fix roofs, who bought coffee for everyone at the diner, who treated Clara with a tenderness that made people believe in love again. In the end, the land and the fortune no longer felt like chains. He used them to help, to rebuild, to bring life back to places that had been forgotten, just like he had once been forgotten on the side of the road. And Clara's dream of a bakery came true, not because of money, but because someone finally believed in her enough to stand by her side. Before we reach the ending, please leave a comment right now telling us what kindness means to you. Your words might be the hope someone else needs today. The cowboy, who had not loved in years, found himself waking up every morning grateful for a woman who saw him when he was nothing but a shadow in the dust. Clara, who had always felt invisible, found herself cherished in a way she never thought possible. Their love wasn't perfect, but it was real, and in a world that often felt cruel, that was everything. As the sun set over the land he once owned but no longer defined him, the cowboy understood that losing everything had been the only way to find what truly mattered. And Clara understood that sometimes, the greatest gift isn't what someone has, but who they choose to be. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to this channel so we can keep bringing you stories that remind us love still exists in the most unexpected places.